Hi everybody, Matt here from Matt Likes Comics, and today I wanted to talk to you about something that I found really neat. This video has been inspired by a recent video that was a top 5 undervalued, and that was done by my friend and friend of the channel, Hall Yeah Comics. Nate over there, if you aren't subscribed to him, you should go over and check him out. He's really cool, he's got some good stuff. And the reason I was inspired by it, you'll see very shortly. In 1983, February 1983 books by DC, a mysterious ad started to appear talking about a future in the next few months. There were going to be 5 books that were anniversary issues that you should keep your eye out for. One was for May 1983. 3 were for June 1983, and the third was for July, at least cover dated wise. Today, I wanted to show you the copies of the 5 books I have, because I remember in 1983 being 11 years old. At the time that this book came out, I was going to turn 12 later that year, and deciding to myself I was going to get all these books. What I didn't realize at the time was it was going to take me till I was in my late 40s to finally get my hands on all these books, as one of them remained elusive for a long time. So without further ado, let's go back to that ad in the 1980s and look at the 5 books that the ad had mentioned. The first book was this, Detective Comics 526. Why was it an anniversary issue? Because it was the 500th appearance of Batman in the title. And as you can see on the cover, you've got Batman, Batgirl, and Robin. And in the background, you have a whole bunch of Batman's Rogues Gallery enemies. Basically, in this book, what happened was that all the enemies were released simultaneously, and they all decided to get together and try to take out the Bat. Now, Batman, besides Batgirl and Robin, had 2 other allies in this fight, Talia al Ghul and Selina Kyle. They both decided to help the Batman in this fight. And everybody is there, from the Scarecrow down to the Riddler to the Gentleman Ghost to everybody who was a big deal villain at the time in terms of Batman. But the other significance about this book was this was the book where Bruce Wayne decided to talk to Jason Todd. His parents were killed not too long ago by Killer Croc's people. And Killer Croc, by the way, is the mastermind behind everybody getting together. He got everybody out. He put them in teams. He tried to get them all to kill the Bat. But at the end of this book, Bruce Wayne takes Jason Todd out for a talk. So everybody knows what happens next. But at this time, that was a brand new idea, because at this time too, as well, Dick was still Robin. This was about a year and just over a year before he became Nightwing. So that was the first book of that set. The next 3 are all dated June, and I'm going to bring them up in the order that I remember they came out. This here is Legion of Superheroes 300. The big deal for that was it was the 300th issue. Now, of course, for those that don't know, Legion of Superheroes was originally the Superboy title that started in 1949 and eventually took over. It became Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes with the issue 238 officially. Unofficially, it had been Superboy and the Legion since about I want to say 198, 199, that era. But the title itself didn't change names until 238 officially. And then with issue 259, they dropped Superboy entirely and strictly went to Legion of Superheroes. So that is how it became 300 issues, if you were wondering. This particular issue was had a couple of significances. Inside, they tell the story of Pharaoh Lad's brother, finally caught, who had had a mental breakdown after his Pharaoh Lad died. Pharaoh Lad was a twin, and they finally fixed his issue problems in this issue. But also this cover here, which has all the Legionnaires drawn by a different artist, had a contest to it, where if you guessed the right artist with the right character and you were correct, you would win a poster of this. A poster that had both this and one picture of the whole Legion done by Keith Giffen, who was the artist at the time. The next one that came out was Adventure 500, but the difference was Adventure 500 was in digest format, and all that this issue did was reprint a bunch of stories from the Legion, from Legion 30, from Adventure Comics 303 right through to Adventure Comics 313. There's all reprints, which basically was the era that Lightning Lad was dead for the most part. So I find it interesting that Lightning Lad is on the front cover. There's also a story inside talking about the history of Adventure, from the fact that when it started as New Comics and then became New Adventure Comics, and then finally with issue 32 became Adventure Comics, the title we all know. The Legion themselves had the run of the book from issue 300 to 380. Before that, they were appearing in various stories across Adventure Comics, Action Comics, and Jimmy Olsen, and Superman, and Superboy on occasion. What is most interesting about this particular copy of the book, when I was in my early 20s, I sold all my comic books. I moved on. I was moving all over the place trying to become a musician, so I didn't have space for all of them. I did keep this book. This is the only book I have from when I was younger. It's still in my collection. That I'm an original owner copy, so to speak. And the last book, and the one that inspired this video, Nate showed this one as one of his 5 undervalued. Action Comics 544. And the anniversary part is this fact was this. It was Action Comics' 45th year of publication. It's okay, so 1938 to 1983. And the reason this one was held off till June was because the original Action Comics was dated June 1938. In this issue, we have 2 stories. We have a story that involves Lex Luthor getting his new battle suit, and Brainiac transforming from the old Silver Age look to a more sleek, modern look for 1980. What I find interesting was that in the case of Brainiac, the new powers he got have continued to this day, but they've gone to the point where they make him look like the original again. Where Lex's power armor, in one form or another, has been continued to use towards this day. The other thing I like about this book is that there were several different artists and writers on this book. Just on the cover alone, they list Cary Bates, Curt Swan, Murphy Anderson, Marv Wolfman, Gil Kane, George Perez, Ed Hannigan. And there was also a written story in here written by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster in the form of a narrative of them talking about how happy they were to see that Superman survived all these years. That they couldn't believe it was already 45 years. This book was also significant in terms of, because this was again 2 years before the crisis, but from this book removed from the continuity, the planet Lexor, and the woman that Luthor was married to, Andorra, I believe her name was. and it removed that from they removed them from canon in the sense that the planet was destroyed. And if you think I'm being bad, remember, I'm giving spoilers for a book that's been out at the time of this airing, 31 years. And the last book from that anniversary ad was July's Brave and the Bold 200. Now, everybody knows that Brave and the Bold was a big deal. Yeah, although they were Batman team-ups from issue 74 on, and a few issues before that, the Batman was a team-up. Brave and the Bold was originally a tryout title that people like Hawkman and the Justice League of America came out of. A sort of a companion piece to Showcase. Now, the biggest thing about this is not only is the team up, so to speak, between the Earth 1 and Earth 2 Batman, this book represents the first appearance ever of Batman and the Outsiders, and specifically of Outsiders Geoforce, Katana, and Halo. They're in a 16-page insert in the middle. But it is to note that in the actual story, the two Batmen don't actually work together. Instead, the commonality is the villain, who somehow switches across the dimensional barriers to deal with both Batman. But this felt like a fitting end to a long-running title. I was extremely disappointed when I was a kid that this was done. I really liked team-up books. I bought DC Comics Presents, which still ran for a couple more years after this, which of course featured Superman team-ups, and of course the Batman Brave and the Bold. Well, just 2 issues before, Batman had teamed up with Karate Kid, and as a Legion fan, that was, for me, that was pretty awesome. And the issue just before this, he teamed up, in 199, he teamed up with Ragman, which at the time was a character I had not heard of, and thought he was really interesting. And my thought was, with there's no more Brave and the Bold, we're not going to get to see characters like Ragman anymore. Turns out I was wrong, but, you know, who knows what... When you're an 11-year-old kid, you don't know what goes on in the minds of comic book executives, you know, and so forth. But, generally speaking, that was those anniversaries. Now, this wasn't the end of DC's anniversary issues. Over the course of the next couple of years, as they were getting ready for Crisis and stopping certain series or whatever, they would get more anniversary issues. Because, for example, you got Superman 400 in 1984. You got same with 1984. You got World's Finest 300. Both of them had the big anniversary things across them, and they were made a big deal. I don't have either. Oh, sorry, I don't have the the World Finest one, but I do have Superman 400 in there. I didn't bring it out because this wasn't part of the ad. The whole point of this was that one particular ad. But it, to me, it's just a mini thing that over the years I wanted to have, and eventually I did. It didn't hurt that I had one of them to start with when I started rebuilding this collection again. By the way, for those that matter, Adventure Comics was in digest format from issues 491 to 503, which was the final issue of the Adventure series when they quit. They revived Adventure briefly in 2009, 10, and 11 when they picked up the numbering at 504, and they went till 529 in that case. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's little video as much as I enjoyed talking about it. If you please subscribe if you haven't already, and please comment below either what you think of the books, or if you liked them or didn't like them, or would like to know more about them, because I can always answer questions in a future video. I plan on actually doing, speaking of which, I plan on doing question answering videos in a live session where I will take questions that have been asked in my comments and answer them during that session, which will also give you guys a chance to ask me any more questions that you might come up with on the spot. I'm not sure when I'm going to do this live show just yet. Probably when I get 5 or 6 questions that I've been able to get the answers to and get to you. I have one so far. So once, as I said, feel free to reach out below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks again to Nate for the inspiration for today's video. My name is Matt, and I really like comics, and I hope you do too.